Hi guys, and welcome back to my new channel, Housewives 411. If you're watching from Twitter or from my old YouTube channel, please go to my new YouTube channel, Housewives 411, and hit that follow button. I did get demonetized on my old channel, so I am trying to get remonetized. If you guys don't know already, of course, everything in this video is alleged, and I know that I'm kind of coming on sporadically, but we have to talk a little bit because there's been some blind items that have come out, and we also need to discuss Kyle Richards. There was a blind item that came out about her, a blind item allegedly that came out about Kim Zolciak. Bierman, hold on, I gotta grab my paper real quick, guys. Sorry, I just want to grab. Oh, I had some notes I wanted to go over with you guys real quick. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, we have to talk about the blind items. Make sure that you guys comment. Let me know where you're watching from. And let me know if you guys have any questions. You guys can always email me too directly if you want to. It's housewifehistorian2022@gmail.com. Okay, so let's start with the first blind item, which came out a couple of days ago, and it was discussing allegations about Kyle, Mauricio, and Kathy Hilton. Okay, so this blind item was alleging, if you guys remember last year, Kathy allegedly, when she had this meltdown, she told Lisa Rinna how she was going to take the network down, take Kyle down, take her whole family down. Hi, Deb. Thank you so much for joining today. Kathy was going to take the whole family down. And so allegedly there was things that she knew about Mauricio and his extracurricular activities that Kyle was not aware of. And so allegedly these incidences, the information somehow made it to Kyle. And this is what has allegedly prompted the separation between Kyle and Mauricio. Very interesting, if you ask me. I always go back to the scene of when they were in Colorado and Kathy had to sleep downstairs. If you guys remember, Mauricio actually joined them on the trip. He flew with the ladies and they were staying in Kyle's house, and Mauricio obviously stayed there. I remember the dinner that they ate before they went out and how the interactions between Mauricio and Kathy seemed very cold. And I sometimes wonder if Mauricio was a little bit triggering for Kathy, right? And that maybe contributed to her having this, alleged, I don't want to say meltdown. I don't even know what to call it. I guess I could kind of see that. But my question is, Kyle doesn't want to answer any questions about her relationship. She was asked on Amazon Live how her and Mauricio are doing living together. And she said, basically, she was very short with the answer. And she was just very, I don't know, I want to say like bitchy, I guess. It's like she's very offended anytime somebody asks anything about her, Mauricio, and their status. Now, Mauricio has been on somewhat of a press, I don't know what to call it, like a press tour. He did a whole article with Reality Blurb. This is really strange, guys. He talks about how he had a blood disorder, a terminal blood disease or disorder, and he was in the hospital from the time he was like born up until he was 7 years old, and how he's using that to motivate him to take life on life's terms and not take things too serious. And I thought that was really peculiar because we've never heard Mauricio talk about this blood disorder or being in the hospital for the first 7 years of his life. We've never heard that. I've never heard that from Mauricio, at least. And so I thought that was a little bit strange. He also went on to a podcast and he was talking about, relationships and people and gossip and all of that. He didn't really say anything too problematic. Now, I want to talk about Brandi Glanville for a second, only because there is a gentleman who came forward and claims that he had a menage a trois with two of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Well, he said a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills and her friend was on the show too. Now, everyone's going crazy over this story. Some people are saying they don't even know if they believe him. I can't remember the exact name, but he was on a podcast. I wish I could give them credit, but I cannot remember it. But it's definitely circulating on Twitter and Instagram. And the gentleman is younger. So people who are saying again, let me tell you the story. He says that he had a menage a trois with 2 housewives from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills in the middle of the day. And when they were done, he went outside and was jumping on the trampoline with her child. And her husband came home, and the guy was like to the housewife, what am I supposed to, what should I tell him? And the housewife was like, just tell him that you're here for real estate purposes. So the guy says he meets the husband, that, he goes with the story. And he says a little bit down the line, I'm not sure how the husband got his phone number, if he gave him a card, because he said he was doing real estate at the time. He says that the husband calls him later on down the road, like a week later, invites him to lunch. He thinks it's business, and it ends up being the husband telling him to stay the F away from his wife. Now, again, he says this is in the middle of the day. He's a younger man. I don't think that he is young enough to be running around with Carlton. Do you guys remember Carlton? Everyone wants to say that it's Carlton. First of all, he said jumping on the trampoline with her kid, which kind of made me feel like, doesn't sound like kid, sounds like kid, right? Definitely married. The other one was definitely married. That doesn't fit Brandi Glanville either, because Brandi's not married, and her children are boys, and they've been around long enough. Barbara says Teddy Mellencamp could possibly, maybe it was Teddy and Kyle at Teddy's house, maybe. I don't know if Teddy was so, what's the word I'm looking for? She was very immature when it came to Denise and the Brandi situation. I mean, when Brandi told her that they slept together, I feel like Teddy said something along the lines of, you mean you guys kissed? Or like, she was so immature to women. I just can't see her doing something that scandalous. That's the only thing. Some people mentioned Diana Jenkins, but Diana was only on for 1 season. Now, I could think it was Diana because Diana does have a small child, but she's not married either, right? So if we take off the people that aren't married, there goes Brandi. Definitely can't be her. Diana wasn't married. We think Teddy's too vanilla, right? We do have Lisa Rinna. Lisa was married. We have Erica. Erica was married up until 2020. Never mind, she's in the OC. Some people did think Bronwyn Burke, but Bronwyn, would have been a great guest, except for the fact that she is in the OC. We also have Taylor, but again, Taylor was on, only for a couple of seasons at the very beginning, and this guy seems a little bit younger. So, I keep trying to think of people that like had friends on the show, like Garcelle and Zampino, but she was only on for a short season. Neither of them are married. The people that are married on the show, really, who do we have? We have Kyle. We have Dorit. Teddy was married. Who else? I'm trying to think who else was on the show. We have Kim Richards. She wasn't married. Who was the girl that came on? Sassoon. Do you remember her? I'm just blown away. Lisa Vanderpump. I don't think Lisa didn't even like to do it with her own husband. I really do think I think Kyle's involved in it. I'm just going to say that, guys. I'm just going to say. Deb said, "Oh, Rinna, get that out of my head." Maybe it was Erica. I was thinking Erica and somebody else as well, but she's not really friends with anyone but Lisa. It would have to be 2 women that totally trust each other. Thank you, Barbara. That's why I believe it's Teddy and Kyle. Right, Barbara. It would definitely have to be 2 people that trust each other, that's sworn to secrecy, that have, that sort of relationship. And you are right when you say that Teddy and Kyle do have that sort of relationship. But again, I just don't know if I see Kyle or Teddy, her kid was there. That's what makes it seem so salacious. And that, again, that could not be Lisa Renna because her children are grown. And it couldn't be Erica because her son is grown. I mean, who has small children? Dorit, Kyle, Teddy. Who else? Dorit. I mean, Sutton doesn't have young children. Garcelle's boys are older. Brandi Glanville's children are a little bit older, but still. Who are we missing, guys? Who else is there? There really is nobody else. There was the woman who was the soap actress. I cannot remember her name. I know you guys know who I'm talking about. She had blonde hair. She was in the Germany scene. She was friends with Lisa Renna. I cannot remember her name. She was pretty. She had blonde hair. But I don't know if she had small children. So again, guys, this really just leaves Kyle, Dorit, and Teddy. Possibly Brandi, only because I really would say Taylor. I really, really would say Taylor if the gentleman was a little bit older. Because we know that Taylor likes girls and she's been pretty open about that. But we had Adrienne Maloof. Remember Adrienne Maloof? Now, I could see her. I'm sorry. Eileen Davis. Thank you, Barbara. Eileen Davis. But I don't think, she had small children like that. And she wasn't on the show for very long. And she was on around the same time as Sassoon was on. And yeah, Brandi. I mean, Brandi definitely, I think, is an option. But again, not married. And he says that they were both married. So that's where, I mean, there's nobody else. There literally is nobody else but Dorit, Kyle, and Teddy. Maybe it was Dorit and Kyle. Then it would have to have been at Dorit's house because it couldn't have been at Kyle's house because you guys are right. Why would the guy say he was into real estate if Mauricio was into real estate? Why would, you know what I'm saying? And Dorit's house was always for sale. You guys, do you remember when she came on the show, they originally lived in that house with like it was like high up in the Beverly Hills, in the hills, the Hollywood Hills. Now they're in the valley, but they used to be up in the Hollywood Hills. Remember, that was the house that allegedly got robbed because they had $1 million listing from Bravo going in and filming a show. They were kind of like double dipping, if you will. And I don't know if it was like Josh Flagg or the other Josh or whomever came in. You know what I'm saying? And that was allegedly why the house got broken into, was because it was on the show. But Dorit and PK's house is always for sale. That house was for sale for a very long time. Do you guys remember? And maybe she didn't have a trampoline before, Barbara, because they lived in the Hollywood Hills. So when you're in the Hollywood Hills, you don't have a lot of yard. That's the bad thing about living up in the Hollywood Hills. You don't have any yard. If you guys remember Teddy's old house, how it was set up, she didn't have any yard. Like even the pool was kind of like off to the side. You don't have much yard. And so, but now her new house has a huge backyard. She has a whole thing for all of the kids. There's tons of stuff in the backyard for the kids because she's living in the valley and she has a backyard now. And I bet that she has a trampoline. And I'm going to look into that, Barbara. But I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, between Jaggy and Phoenix, they have a trampoline. And their house is always for sale. Brandi's house is never for sale. Carlton, no. Lisa Vanderpump, they built their homes, so it couldn't have been them. Adrienne Maloof, I don't know what they did with their house after they got divorced. That's the only thing. I really would say her if she hadn't been on the show so long ago. But it's been so long. I just don't think that it could be her. I don't think it could be. Yes, thank you, Deb, so much, guys. Make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. If you guys are watching from my old YouTube channel, please to go over to my new YouTube channel, Housewives 411, and follow from there. Now, there was another blind item while we're talking about the Real Housewives of New Jersey. If anything pops into your head at any moment through this live, guys, and you think that you remember Teddy and Kyle moved out of Beverly Hills around the same time as each other, absolutely they did, Barbara, and they they all even live in the valley now. Kyle, Teddy, and Dorit. They're not, I don't think they're even in Beverly Hills anymore. It may have been Kim. That's the only one Brandi could trust. I know, but Kim and Brandi, neither of them were married. So he said specifically the husband came home. The wife told him to tell the husband that he was there because of real estate. And later down the road, the husband ended up calling him and calling him in for a lunch. And somebody said, I could see PK doing something like that, right? And hypothetically, when these situations take place between friends that like really trust each other, it can either go one way and make you closer, or it can get the other way and make you like not as close. And hypothetically, if it was Dorit and Kyle, first of all, they had to have been day drinking, likely. Whoever it was, if they're doing that in the middle of the day, they're day drinking. And Dorit and Kyle, even though everything took place with Mauricio and PK and the bad business dealings, they didn't really carry on with their friendship. Do you guys know what I'm saying? Like, regardless of whether their husbands were hanging out or their families were hanging out, it wasn't like Dorit and Kyle were hanging out, though, ever, really. Do you guys notice that? It just, like, kind of stopped out of nowhere. Like, 1 minute they're friends, and, I was just discounting Kim because she wasn't married. That's why, Deb. Because the guy who said that, who's alleging this story, he said both of the housewives were married. So that's why I discounted her, only because Kim and Brandi, neither one were married. Well, Brandi was married, but when she came on the show, I think she was like in the middle of getting a divorce, or she was already on her way to a divorce. That's the only reason I discounted it. Because I still felt like, oh, you know what? Guys, we're forgetting Denise. Now, it could have been Denise. She has a husband. But are her children small? I don't think so. But she adopted a little girl too that I think is younger than her children with her ex-husband. Sorry, just reading the comments, guys. So I feel like Denise is a good guess. Don't you guys think? That would make sense. But who would it be with? Maybe it was Denise and Brandi. Julie said Denise and Brandi. I'm like, you know what? I feel like it was Denise. That would make sense to me. And then it would be Denise and Lisa Rinna. I don't think it would be Brandi because of the fact that, one, Brandi only was with Denise allegedly the one time when she went to see her and they recorded their podcast together. And that's when allegedly the whole hanky-panky took place, right? And Brandi said she didn't know about Denise's husband, all like that, or she thought that he knew and that he was okay with it. You know what I mean? And that would make sense to me. She does live in Malibu. Yes, Barbara. Yep, she does. But she was on the Beverly Hills Housewives. So I think that he said Beverly Hills. I got to go back and listen to the whole podcast because somebody said that he says more in it than just what the clips are showing, but I just haven't had an opportunity. So there was another blind item though that came out. Speaking of of Kyle Richards, this one pertains to Morgan, her alleged ex-girlfriend, current girlfriend, whatever you want to say. Allegedly, there was one a couple of weeks ago about Morgan being upset with Kyle because she didn't pull any strings to get Morgan to at least be a presenter at the VMA or at the Country Music Awards, because that's like a big deal for country music. And she was mad that Kyle didn't get her like either nominated or a presenter position. Now, allegedly, she pulled some strings and had Kyle get her the tour that she wanted. And now she doesn't want Kyle coming along for her tour. She doesn't want Kyle coming along like a groupie. Okay, if you guys watch Kyle's Instagram, she was at a lot of Morgan's shows last year. She was like taking pictures with the crew and their family, and she was just with Morgan on her tour a lot. At first it looked like she was like there as a person who like bought tickets and just wanted to go to the concert. But after finding out everything that we, saw, now it does look a little more peculiar. And when the person asked Kyle on Amazon Live about her living situation with Mauricio, she got very huffy and puffy. She gets very huffy and puffy when people ask her questions. But I think that these are like normal questions that anyone would ask someone that's going through something so publicly, and you're saying that you're like separated, but you guys are living together. That does seem strange to people. Okay. It's kind of like the Ariana and situation on Vanderpump Rules. Like, we can't hate him because he's a cheater, and still keep all of our finances and our living situation straight. I got my iPad to see you guys. My cell is back. It didn't show anyone but me. I love you guys. So funny. Yeah. And Kyle, she does not seem herself at all. And now we're kind of getting the feel that Morgan is using her. That's the blind item feel that I'm getting, is that like Morgan's using her for all of the perks of that Kyle Richards can get her. Kyle knows a lot of people in the industry. Okay. Kyle has a lot of pull in the industry. And I'm sure that even Morgan said, like, what would a girl from Beverly Hills want to do with little old me? I don't got friends from Beverly Hills. So Kyle probably like lavished her in gifts and all this fun stuff in LA, and this is how we do this, and we get frozen yogurt and we do this and we do that and we call the pops, and like I'm sure she showed Morgan a little bit of a different way of life and gave her a taste of something she probably hadn't ever had. And now she's sort of like, I need that. And I need Kyle's help to get that. But I'm not sure if I want to be with Kyle, because here's the thing. I feel like it started out a friendship because Kyle had quit drinking. Like, let's be real here. Morgan is 3 years sober. She has been open about that. And I think Kyle needed a mentor, sort of. Maybe somebody that was a little bit in the social life that could just help guide her on things of the program, or helpful things, or just be a listening ear, but not necessarily a counselor, that sort of thing. And then whatever transpired from there was probably very emotional. Dad says, I don't think Adrian Malouf. Maybe it was Kyle and Brandi, because that was a shock when Kyle started saying Brandi never lies. Kyle and Brandi and Mo served me lunch. There's just no way they're a couple. I never believe that, Catherine said. And it was so strange on Watch What Happens Live. Kyle was trying to tell Andy Cohen, and even after she said it, I think that it sounded so bogus and absolutely ridiculous that Andy Cohen didn't even acknowledge that she said it. But but in my mind, I'm like, this is what Kyle's telling people. Kyle's like, if Morgan didn't have she's like, if she didn't say her name, she was like, if she didn't have all of these tattoos, no one would say anything, because no one says anything about my other girlfriends. And Andy's like, and the audience is like, what? No, Kyle, that's not why people think that at all, actually. No, I don't think so. Kyle is sick, Barbara. I think so too. I think that, guys, we haven't even seen her travel without Mauricio. When I went back and looked, we've seen Mauricio travel with Kyle, girls trip, Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip even. Yes, he's a real estate agent. Yes, he owns an agency. Yes, maybe he helps them get these locations and these homes and such. But that doesn't mean that it's necessary for him to accompany them on their trips and stay the entire time. That is strange. There are no other house husbands in any of the franchises that do this. Only Mauricio and Kyle. Brandi also actually, I really quickly, you guys say this. She posted on Twitter that she was really sick. She collapsed. Her son has to call 911. She went to the hospital, and that she made some kind of comment about being very stressed about Bravo and everything that's going on as a whole, because she has said that the accusations from Caroline Manzo allegedly have really affected her business, her jobs, her podcast. I don't even think she's put a podcast out in a while. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not. I hope that's not the case for her, but yeah, and she posted, what did she put? It was, I don't know if it was like OnlyFans, but it was something like with private content of her in like underwear, bra sort of thing. So take it where you will. Just saying. Little crazy. Do you guys have any questions? I'm not going to keep this one super long because I do have to get going, but I also want to take any questions if you guys have any that pertain to Real Housewives. And also, guys, do you watch Married to Medicine? Anyone? If you guys do, put that in the comments. If you guys don't know, they're kind of doing a little bit of they're bringing Phaedra from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and they're putting her into Married to Medicine. But in the first episode, Brandi was also at this opening for Phaedra's store where they filmed the Married to Medicine first episode. And she was actually filmed in the episode, and Bravo cut her out. Cut her completely out. Weird. Margaret posted a photo of herself online, and she is highly filtered, and she has like these two, I don't want to say balls, but they're like, they sort of look like a ball that's like cut in half, and they're on her wall on either side of her head. So they're like this. And she has a heavy filter on that she kind of looks like Teresa a little bit in it. And yet her neck and her hands are not filtered, just her face. I can't stand that. And then like the two balls in the background. And I'm like, you just want people to make fun of you, Margaret? Like, really? Is that what you just want people to make fun of you? Also, guys, like I said, please make sure that you let me know if you're watching Married to Medicine, because I would love to do a review on it. Also, we had the Real Housewives of Potomac air last night. Did anyone watch it? I'm loving Dr. Wendy. Ashley is not giving me Housewives this year. Rumors that her home is actually a B&B. If you don't know, her husband Michael's also suing Candace Dillard Bassett allegedly for $2 million over things that she said about him that allegedly affected his business. If you notice, nobody is talking about the lawsuit on camera. Candace is not talking about it, and neither is Ashley Darby. Nope. They refuse to talk about it. Karen Huger made a great point when she said that Ashley won't even say Candace's name because she's probably trying to ice Candace out. Karen says, I know that because I've been there. It does feel like we haven't seen a lot of Candace this season. I'm just saying. It does feel like that. Drew Sidor from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, she was also on Twitter yesterday because of the fact that she was responding to the account. I think it's Team Jennifer. It's at Protect Jennifer. Do you guys know the account that I'm talking about? Well, she had tweeted that she thought, well, no, she didn't think that Real Housewives of Atlanta Drew was going to be getting fired. And Drew replied back and called her like a dusty hoe or something crazy. And I was like, geez, Drew, that seems a little harsh. And then I thought about Candace on the Real Housewives of Potomac and how they asked if she wanted Drew Sidor to open for her Chicago show. And she was like, that's who you bringing me, Drew? I don't need Drew to open the Chicago show. I sold the Chicago show out. Why would I need Drew to open it for me? Allegedly, Candy's out the door. Kyle with Brandi. Oh my gosh. You can see I didn't sleep last night. Of course, I'm being confused. Poor time. I know there's so much between them. I know it's a lot when we were talking Beverly Hills, Potomac, but they're like intertwining them because, like I said, they're putting Phaedra on. Well, they actually would have had Phaedra and Brandi on Married to Medicine, but they cut Brandi out. And guys, I do feel bad for Brandi because I do feel like Bravo has been taking advantage of this woman for over a decade. I don't know if I would have. She, I think, was promised a diamond if she came on the show and gave them the storyline and the whole thing about what happened with her and Denise. The thing was, Beverly Hills was sort of dying because the last real big thing they had going on prior to that was Puppygate. So they needed Brandi really, really bad to come in with this whole crazy, blow this up. And allegedly, I don't know if they didn't pay her because they had to get mic'd and I don't know. But I know that they promised her a diamond. But here's what happened. Her diamond was because she was going to come back on and she was going to have this storyline with Denise. But Denise said, F Bravo, I'm not coming back. And Bravo said, we're really sorry, Brandi, but we don't have anywhere for you. We don't have a storyline for you now. They screwed her. And her son even did an Instagram story and called Andy Cohen out and was like basically you promised that you were going to help get us out of here and you didn't. And then Brandi deleted it. And then he put it on, I think, one of the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. I don't know. I think the network has used Brandi tremendously. And I don't know why she's let them. And I don't know if it's because she hasn't had the right representation, if she's been just so hard up, she doesn't care. She's like, I just, need some money, right? I don't know. I do feel bad for her, though. And it does kind of feel like, why would Caroline really, I'm not saying, Phaedra says she doesn't drink and that she was there and that none of this shit happened. Okay, that's what Phaedra Park says. And she's an attorney. I don't know why Caroline would come up with all of this. Because essentially, if Brandi is losing money and jobs and sponsors, that's shitty. That's shitty. You know what I mean? Caroline goes back with her husband, back into their $1 million home, where she doesn't have to worry about money and she can buy what she wants and shop where she wants, take care of her kids and her grandchildren, live happily ever after. And Brandi doesn't have that. So I do feel bad for her. And I hope that I think she needs legal advice. I think she needs a legal aid to represent her because F Bethany. Bethany ain't going to make sure you get yours, Brandi. Bethany's going to make sure Bethany gets hers first and foremost. All these people that are entrusting in Bethany, don't they know she's in it for the money too? All right, guys. Other than that, that's all I have for you today. Make sure that you guys hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, turn your notifications on. Barbara, you are so right. She really does probably need to quit drinking. I've heard a lot of rumors about Brandi and her extracurricular activities. And I think that sometimes she dabbles in things that are a little too hard for her. And she uses alcohol and probably Xanax, like you said, or different substances to sort of help get rid of the pain that she's going through. But Xanax is very, very, very dangerous if you are overtaking it, or if you're being over. Just because you're taking it the way they tell you to take it doesn't mean you're overtaking it. Doesn't mean you're not overtaking it or you're not overprescribed. Okay. And mixing it with alcohol is so bad. It's so bad. People say it's a mind eraser. People, they just not with it. So yeah, that's not great for her at all. And I think that Brandi does probably need some mentoring from some people to maybe show her a different way. And maybe now that Kyle's not drinking, she could help some of the other ladies, maybe like Brandi, right? Lala Kent allegedly is sober too, and she's saying that Bravo was so supportive. I was like, that's funny because when Leah McSweeney was sober, they didn't give any Fs. And they had Heather Gay saying that she was going to try to get her drunk after she read her book and knew that Leah was in sobriety and had been almost 10 years sober when she went to film The Real Housewives of New York. I don't know, guys. It's wild to me. But make sure you guys comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. Check out my new podcast, Housewives 411. If you have any questions, email me at houselifehistorian2022. And check out my friend Lisa. I'm on her podcast every Thursday, and we review The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And she's at NYC Gal Out on all major streaming platforms. Also, guys, I started my TikTok, and I'm TikToking over here because my account's growing, so you might want to go check me out on the TikTok, HW Historian 2. Bye, guys.